Rise and shine, and welcome to a new episode of the ASOM experience. How amazing it is to be alive again today and to be with another special guest. You may guess, I'll tell you shortly. I just want to really thank everyone out there who's listening, connecting, watching, whatever you're doing, whether you're walking your dog or whether you're cooking or at the gym. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for taking the time for you to actually listen, learn, connect, and open up to new perspectives, stories, ideas. This is the goal. The ASOM experience is here to really share more than anything, to connect and to reveal certain stories and experiences that usually we do not share out there, but something that could resonate with you, whether it's a word, a phrase, a story, an experience. Not everything here is the key. It's just about really you connecting with yourself through some of the stories and the ideas that we share. So I'm more than happy to start this new episode, and just once again want to thank the 28 countries that are connecting and listening to the podcast. Just want to say this. And one more thing, I've mentioned this in the previous solo episodes. My heart is full of all the generous donations that everyone has been doing for the Odette rebuild. The campaign started a few weeks back. We are helping rebuild the communities in the Philippines, in Palawan, that were hit by the typhoon. So just to let you know, the last update was 4,000 pieces of roofing material were ordered. And now we are continuing on rebuilding these homes. People are happy, they're smiling. We can really feel the effect that this is bringing to these families. So thank you again for contributing. The GoFundMe is still out there, so feel free to contribute in any way. Any contribution is welcome. And one more thing, just before jumping into this episode, is feel free to also book a free discovery call, because my coaching services are back out there. So feel free to join. I'd be happy to listen to your story, your goals, and how we can work on your transformation to get there. All right. That being said, I would love to welcome our guest today. She is Somalian French Canadian who lived in Canada, in Somalia, and currently in France. She is in the French Riviera. Ayan Bihi is with us today. She is also the founder of her CBD business, which she will be talking about. And I'm more than grateful to have her with us today. She will develop a little bit more on her intro and presentation. So, hey, Ayan, how are you today?
Hey, Serge. Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you doing?
I am well. Thank you so much for taking the time. How, tell us a little bit, how did you get here? What's your story and why are you here today?
How did I get here? In what sense?
How do you make it here? Why are you here today? How did we get to connect? Maybe you want to share a little bit about how we met recently, and yeah, just about your story.
Yeah, so I moved to the south of France just shy of 2 years ago. And it's the first time I've moved to an area in the world where I didn't know anybody or people. So I joined Toastmasters as a way to connect with new people. And that's how we met, through a fellow member who you also had as a guest, I believe,
Absolutely.
Tony.
Yes.
And
Very
you
good
actually
guest.
came to one of the evenings that we had at Toastmasters. So I
Correct.
think that's the first time we met. And then from there, Tony put us into contact together.
Yes, yes, definitely a big pleasure. Thanks to him, we are here connecting and listening to your stories. We'll definitely be talking more about, I would say, specifically about alternative healing and what you are bringing out there as a passion that you're turning into an actual business that's going to serve a lot of people. Before getting really into that, just tell us a little bit more about you. What motivates you, and what gets you up in the morning and running and starting your day?
Good question. What motivates me? I think it's to seize the day and to know that, every day is a gift. So trying to make something good of it. I also try not to get stuck in this idea of saying, oh, it's what a burden. I'm going to have to do this, this, and this task. I try to think of the spontaneity or the fun that could await me as well. So that's what kind of motivates me, is to try to find a moment where I can just enjoy and embrace the gift that I have, which is being healthy and alive.
Hmm. Amazing. Sounds a lot of gratitude in the way you share and just the way you are, the way you live. I've really felt that sense. I mean, once again, thanks to the fact that I've met you on two different occasions, I would say, in the same place, I felt this calmness that you have, which is definitely a work in progress, I would say, given all the circumstances that we're living and going through right now on a collective level. Um, what do you practice? What are some of your routines, some of your techniques that you really apply?
I definitely do work. I think to be grounded, for me at least, it takes an investment of my time, and also believing that there are, work, that there's impact coming from it, which I do see actually the effects. So I try to meditate at least once a day. And I share this, that for me, there is no one way to meditate. It's finding what works for you.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean that you have to be sitting in a calm space for 45 minutes. It could be walking, it could be talking with somebody, it could be eating a good meal. It's just any time that you find for yourself that allows you to take a moment of calm and reconnect with yourself. So I try to give myself at least one moment of that a day. We're very lucky to live in the south of France. So I also try to take breaks where I can just take in the sun to recharge myself. And I journal. That's something I've been
Oh.
doing since I was a little girl.
Hmm.
It was a gift my sister gave me when I was about 8, and she gave me a nice journal. I've just been keeping up that practice as a conversation with myself as well as my future self. And I think it's just being aware that what you have today is not a given, and just being grateful for that. So that's what I try to practice, as well as sports when I can.
Amazing. You touched point on journaling and awareness, which are we share as well in common. And how how is journaling for you? How is it? Is it something that you do out of, is it a morning daily habit, or does it come also randomly when you really have things to put out?
Yeah, similar to what I said about meditation, I don't like to restrict myself, or maybe it's just not my personality type where I say I have to do this at this amount of time every day. So actually, I'm seeing my journal's right there beside me, so I'm looking at. I write when I feel like I need to release things, or where I want to remember things. And sometimes I also like doing the exercise where I write for my future self. So
Yes.
I release what's inside of me. And then, imagine 1 year from now, I'll look back, and it's a nice reminder of the progress that I've made, because sometimes we can be on a journey to grow and we forget where we started or where we came from. So that's what I do. And I also, when I have the time or remember, is I also write down my dreams. I also keep a
Mm.
dream journal in the same journal, but I love dreaming. I think it's a great tool that we have at our disposal. So I try to write down my dreams when I have an opportunity as well.
Okay, beautiful. It's so good also to hear the fact that, I mean, your sister introduced you to journaling, and I think that's one of the greatest, most valuable gifts one can do to another. Either give a book or just give a journal and let them, be creative. Do you ever get to like scribble or scratch or just release actual? Yeah, do you do that? I do that as well. Okay.
For sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's just different techniques. Sometimes it could be, this happened to me today. It could be just free writing where you just let things out.
Hmm.
It could be memo to self. It could be trying to imagine a
Okay.
vision for yourself in the future. It's really just a moment that I take for myself. And I've been doing this forever. And it's so intimate that I wonder what will happen when it's going to be found, because I have loads of them here in France as well as my parents' house in Canada. And my biggest fear was, is that somebody reads it, because it's so intimate, right? You're kind of relieving the
Yes.
mask, removing the mask. So I had that nightmare. What's happened to me? I lost one of my journals with one page left in the New York City subway. Yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't
Okay.
intentional, but from there I've just learned to kind of just release it, because sometimes I would like auto censor the way I was writing in fear that if somebody reads this,
Hmm.
what happens, you know? So I would write as if I would always be kind of guide like masked, but I think a journaling is a great moment to relieve yourself and just be free. So that horrifying experience of of leaving my journal in the New York City subway allowed me to learn just to let it out.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely, well, it sounds also like a kind of a turning point as well in terms of your journaling life or experience. So, hmm, interesting, interesting.
It was very embarrassing though. I was like, oh
Oh.
my gosh, they know about that crush. Oh my gosh, they know about my inner thoughts. But it's okay. I hope maybe it allowed them to reflect on themselves as well. And who knows?
Yes, the word that comes to my mind is shameless, just being totally shameless and, and yeah, just accepting, everything intimate being put out there because we all do have our intimate things and secrets and
Yeah,
uh, so yeah,
it's very
lucky.
shameless, the word.
Yeah, maybe keep an email or a number on your journals just in case.
I
Yeah,
do.
you
I've
do
learned
that.
that. I have, if found, please return to, and I have my email. But it's okay. And I have a good friend of mine who told me that she burnt hers. She burnt
Oh,
all of her journals one day. She just like, I wanted to let go. Because there's an idea too, sometimes when you're writing down these thoughts or moments, you're keeping them. And I was like, that is really powerful too, just releasing them and saying, I'm done with that, you know, just saying
mm,
out, out with the old, in with the new.
detaching. I love that. Obviously, Ayan, you've lived so many different stories and experiences. I'm sure you've had several aha moments and turning points to bring you today and to everything that you're creating. We're gonna do this like quick flash to here to today and tell us maybe what was the most impactful experience you've had that really opened your eyes to giving, serving, and especially for women. I mean, with what you're bringing out there, what was really that moment of full inspiration and readiness for you?
Yeah, there's a lot, but the one that comes up to mind for me and relates to what I'm building with arum.care, a moment that I had about 4 years ago with my doctor and gynecologist, where she prescribed to me the pill to help relieve the anxiety, depression, and just the feelings that I would go to leading up to my period.
Hmm.
Today, after I've done a lot of research, I think what I go through would be categorized under PMDD, so premenstrual dysmorphic disorder, but I didn't know about that then. And so she prescribed me the pill once, it didn't work. I go back to her office, she prescribes me the pill the second time, it made me feel worse. So there I am sitting in her office feeling, we're taught to trust doctors, which I truly believe is a valid point because they have so much training and education and knowledge. However, I felt that it was more of a monologue than a
Hmm.
dialogue. So I didn't feel like she was listening to what I was saying about my body, which I experience. And I was just another client or another patient. So she says, listen, let's do another third time's the charm. Let's try another pill, this time with a different amount of estrogen. And here I ask her a question, which is valid. I said, what are the side effects to the pill? Which I should have asked earlier, but I finally picked up the courage to ask her then. And she looks at me and she says, there are none.
Hmm.
So at that moment, I knew that I was going to have to go on my own journey where I couldn't not trust, but I didn't feel like my best interests were being kept in mind because, it's really hard to say a pharmaceutical product doesn't have any side effects. When you think about it, water has side effects. If you drink too much water, it could hurt your body.
Hmm.
So I took her prescription and I walked out of the office and I threw it out and I said, okay, what can I do for myself? Where can I support myself? So I started looking into alternative medicine. I started looking into naturopathy and just looking at holistic solutions. And most importantly, going back to journaling, I started writing down how I was feeling on the days leading up to my period. And that's where I started to see the patterns, which I hadn't connected to before, was that leading up to it, I'd feel overwhelmed, I'd feel out of control, lose interest in a lot of things that meant a lot to me. So that's where I started connecting the dots and also feeling empowered to do something. And most importantly, feeling empowered to talk to other people. You said a word earlier, which I think is very appropriate for the journey, is removing shame. There's so much shame that's associated with the menstrual cycle. You know, a few years ago, I would not feel comfortable asking or talking with others about that, you know, talking about their period. And I have 3 sisters, and we never really talked about our cycle, or even with my friends, we never really talked about our cycle and how it affected us. So that also pushed me to start talking with others and thinking, and I realized that I wasn't alone. There's a lot of other people who were either feeling the emotional anxiety or the emotional effects on their period, or the physical. And we had been normalized to think this is normal. Like this is just part of being a menstruator. You go with the pain, be it physical or emotional, and you just keep it to yourself and you carry on. And I thought maybe there's another way. So that's what's led me here today.
Wow. Such a beautiful, inspiring story. Also, the fact that you are the founder of arum.care. So arum.care, I'm sharing with the listeners, especially with the women out there. Arum.care, is the website out? Is it ready?
Yeah,
Perfect. Yes.
www.arum.care.
Yes. Exactly. Arum. I will share this as well in the description. And what other means can listeners connect with you? Do you have a personal Instagram page where they can follow you? Yeah.
Of course, yeah. So we have
Wonderful.
our Instagram, arum.care, as well as TikTok, arum.care.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So everything is there. Awesome. I haven't shared enough about Ayan. Definitely with her story, there's also a whole background in the introduction. It was a very brief one, but I would love to just mention a few more facts about you. So Ayan is, as I said, Somali-Canadian. She's a UX designer and entrepreneur based in south of France. As I've said, she holds also a double degree, one in industrial engineering and another in sociology, correct?
Industrial design, sorry.
Design, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Thought it was,
I don't want to be people, like, I don't want to be an imposter.
Sure, but so you hold 2
Close.
degrees and one from Concordia University in Montreal, where so you were in Canada. You speak 3 languages. You also have your podcast that's very interesting, which is you're a co-host of Ascend UX, ASCEND UX. It's an informative podcast that focuses on lifting the veil of user experience design. So really interesting. You're not just focused on your business, but you're doing all of these out there. And arum.care is your baby on crafting organic, sustainable menstrual care products. So I really invite everyone listening out there, connect with Ayan through arum.care, Instagram, TikTok, check her website, check the products. She's doing this first and foremost to serve. And this is what I love about people who are in service, to others. Just really more than the product, it's the value, it's the story, it's the experience. And this is where I praise you again. Thank you so much for taking the time and being with us on the podcast. So yeah, anything you want to share or you want to add to what I just mentioned, or should we just keep flowing?
Let's keep flowing. I think you said it well. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Let's go back maybe to your 20s. What would you advise your younger self? What would you tell the younger Ayan?
Good one. And something I think of myself. Actually, I'll tell you another story. Also, not same trip, but a different time in New York City. So For work once, when I was a university student, my side job, my team, I had an amazing team where I was working, and our boss decided to send us all to New York for a weekend all unpaid trip, which was really fun. So we go, and my boss decides what we're going to do as our events, and she says, let's go see a fortune teller. Okay, why not? I'm always fascinated by the esoteric world. So I say, cool, I had never gone to a fortune teller before. So we go see this person named Miss Kitty. And so you have the entrance, everybody's sitting there, and then individually you go into the room with Miss Kitty, where she's in her room. There's like a round table, and there's nothing on the table besides maybe a napkin, like the le nappe in French, you know, just
Yes.
I don't, my English escapes me there, and a crystal ball. So she asks you to put your hand over the crystal ball and think of one question. You don't speak out loud, you just think of that question. And that's what she touches upon during your time with her. So I did that. I think I was maybe, I would say like 22, 23. And she said something that I've been working on ever since, which is you believe more in others than you believe in yourself. And that's what I would tell myself, is to invest that time you give others and give it to you. Because, you know, when you're younger, it's more about, for me at least, I'll talk about myself. I'm a very social person and I love being around other people. But there was a moment where I looked more for quantity and not quality in friendships. And why not? And that's what I do now today, is focusing on quality. So having a good small circle of people that are dependable and help me grow, rather than just having people who are looking for distractions, right? So that's what I would tell my younger self. And that Miss Kitty was so poignant on telling me, and that I've been working on ever since.
Beautiful, Ayan. I'm listening with so much awe and just like really feeling what you just shared. It's truly beautiful also to have that as a child. And living that experience itself definitely shows how much connected you are since you know, you were really young. Um, having all that said, what we talked about really how you're serving, but what is your mission? What do you feel like you carry today, and this is something that you aspire to be? Or
Yeah. So I believe that every single person on this planet has a purpose. And it's just taking that step to believe in that, and then giving yourself space to figure out what it is. I can't say I'm entirely sure what is my purpose. I'm still unraveling that. And I hope to find out what it is if I'm given that opportunity. But what I'm doing and what I think is really important is to know your why. And because especially when you're an entrepreneur, there's like this glory, this image of being a boss lady, et cetera, which is great in social media. But being an entrepreneur is really hard. You're constantly being faced with challenges and surprises that you can't really foresee. So by knowing your why, it's important, because that way you'll know what is going to get you back up when you're knocked down. And there's a really beautiful Japanese proverb that I like. It's fall down 7 times, get up 8.
yeah.
So that's my mission. My mission is to overcome my limiting beliefs of who I am, pushing myself and helping others. So that takes the form of empowerment. I realized during my studies, when I was finishing my master's in design, was I like to empower others, because that's where I feel empowered, right? You're able to give and you see what tools you have to help others. So that's my mission. And it's funny and appropriate that I have to go through what I go through with my period so that I can help others, because a lot of people endure things that are even worse than what I go through. And I hope that I'm able to relieve that for them, because, you know, if you look at the population of the world who menstruates, that's pretty much more or half, give or take, of the half the world. That's a huge proportion. And if we're able to make this a bit more smooth as a process, imagine what people can do. Because there's a huge population that are left in bed debilitated, maybe not able to work because of their periods, if they're not able to access proper healthcare. There's another population that's not able to access education because they don't have proper menstrual hygiene that allows them to go to school. So for me, it's something that's really small, but it has a huge impact if we're able to tackle this topic, making it not a stigma, allowing it to be talked about, and that we can work towards finding and supporting people to finding the best solution for them.
Yeah, and you're definitely serving on a massive level, and I do feel that also with your mission. And when you said, you know, knowing the tools that you have and being able to use them because they have a positive impact on the others, that's really very evolved, I would say. That's really very wise of someone to share, and the way you do it, the way you approach it, and also what you said about believing and also contributing to others. And you spoke about quantity and quality over quantity. Right now, the fact that you're more and more connected with your purpose or your why, this is where you can really serve out of a place of abundance and fullness, which is truly inspiring for everyone who's listening. Once again, I'm going to remind you, you could connect with Ayan and her project and her business on arum.care. So yeah, Ayan, you're definitely impacting many out there, whether it's your small circle or people you meet on a daily basis, or others. Who are you impacting most today?
That's a good question. I'm definitely conscious that everything I do has an impact, but I'm not too sure on who I'm impacting. And I'm sure in my circle, from my cat to my mother to my husband. But besides that, I'm not too sure. And hopefully maybe with time, I'll be able to be revealed that. But I also think for my upbringing, there's good intentions by giving without wanting to be receiving anything back. So that's not what drives me to give, because you're constantly then seeking that validation. You should be just, in my opinion, giving to give, not hoping to get something back from it.
That unconditional way of really giving and doing, that's really a lot of experience to be able to get to that level. It's beautiful that you mentioned this. And following that question, something a little bit similar, there's a saying, we're all heroes. Some of us don't wear capes. And who are you a hero to, Ayan?
Oh, I think it's the same as the impact. I'm not too sure.
You're not too sure.
But what I can say is I'm a hero to my younger self.
Yes, definitely.
I'm overcoming whatever obstacles I had internally and externally and pushing through to grow.
Wonderful. She's smiling right now. Your younger self. That's awesome. So the world is listening right now. The world is listening to you. What is your message to everyone listening and watching us?
Oh, there's so much, because there's so much going on today, sir.
I bet.
What do I want to say? I think what thought came to me today as I was just kind of reflecting on our conversation that we were having is, and what I seek is to be inspired, not to aspire. So I would like to share that with others as well, because we're often overwhelmed with images of people who quote unquote have it all together. And, we want to have that life when we have this life. Take that as inspiration, but don't take that as something that you need to aspire to be. Again, I'm going back to my philosophy that we all have a purpose. So by trying to aspire to be somebody else, you're kind of throwing your purpose out the window. but you can be inspired by people. I'm inspired by so many people in my everyday life, but I'm trying not, and it's a difficult task, especially with, being on whatever social media platforms you are on in life, to not want to say, oh, well, maybe I should look like that. Oh, maybe I should, do that to my X, Y, and Z. But so that's what I would say. That's what I would share. It's just, it's hard sometimes, but be proud of who you are. We all have a story to tell. And by telling your story, you allow others to have the courage to share theirs.
Wonderful. I love this. Just love this. So good. Ayan, we're at, before our final question, we have, this section, which is called the fast cues. And you have one word or just a few words to answer. So they are fast cues. Are you ready for that? All right.
Yes.
Let's do this. So what is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life, I would say to use the gift as to your best disposal. Like, enjoy life, find a reason to be happy, find a reason that gives you joy. So I would go say joy and have fun.
That's very true. That's a very good reminder. Okay, thank you. We are put on this earth for what reason?
To leave it better than when we came onto it. It's like when you're walking in the forest, sometimes they say like, leave the forest better than how you came in here. And I think that's life. You want to create an impact, big or small, but you don't want to make it worse from your presence.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for actually leaving the world every single day better than you've got into.
Sorry, do you want to do it again because of sirens?
No, I got you. Yeah, no, I could hear you perfectly. Yeah.
I'm trying to be humble. It's a journey. I can't say that what I'm doing is having an impact, but I'm working towards that,
Well, you are right now on us, so
thank you
for that.
I hope so.
Where is destiny, Ayan?
Where is destiny?
What is, yeah.
What is destiny? I don't think destiny is written in concrete. Perhaps it's things that are ideal, but doesn't mean that it's the only way to be. What I would ask people when I was younger is, okay, imagine, Serge, you're walking through a forest and you find a book, okay? And the book says The Life of Serge. It has every single thing written in the book that's going to happen to you. So your destiny, would you read it?
That's amazing. I got goosebumps right now because I remember I remember asking myself this question when I was 25, I think. What if you could watch a trailer of your life? And I actually lived it. Like, seriously.
Oh, how so? What happened?
I even made a video out of it when I was traveling through the East Coast, and just a beautiful moment of my life. I feel it was really a moment of transformation, and where I got connected more and more with spirituality and with my essence and nature. And so, yeah, beautiful. The fact that you said that definitely got me back to 2015. Yes, that was almost 10 years ago. Okay. That's about destiny. What is true happiness, Ayan?
True happiness it's the little things.
The little things that turn out to be the big ones in the end. Yeah.
That add up, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like once you have that big house, you'll be happy. It's being surrounded by people who make you feel good, or looking in the mirror and saying, I'm actually not that bad. Or, just taking in a ray of sunshine after having gray days. It's just the little things that add up.
Yeah. That breath that you just had right now. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little thing.
Totally.
Or waking up and realizing you're in full health. That's what happiness is.
Do you feel that reincarnation or the concept of afterlife exists?
That's a good question, and one that I ask myself as well. So I definitely do have a spiritual aspect in how I navigate through my everyday life. And I do believe that we are guided. It could be by your spirits, it could be by your ancestors. What happens with the energy or their essence after we pass, I'm not sure. I'm still on the fence about reincarnation. I'm not too sure, but I do believe that when we pass, we just don't disappear in thin air. I think we do have a connection with those that we've loved, who have gone on their journey. What becomes of them, I'm not sure.
That's definitely that's beautifully said, and it shows that also that's part of your legacy, and what you could keep on. Yeah,
Yeah, I
beautiful.
think, yeah, exactly what you said. I think we are the legacy of those who have passed, our ancestors. You know, our existence today is their legacy, or even people who we don't know were part of their legacy, in the sense of maybe somebody, for example, I'm a woman of color, so those who fought for freedom, for all that my identity is, you know, I'm now a part of their legacy. My freedom is based on their sacrifices.
Yeah, that's a lot of awareness there as well, and being connected with your whole history and background. Beautiful, beautiful. What is mindfulness?
Oh, that's a good one. What is mindfulness? I think for me, at least, is to be aware. And ironically, maybe it's mindlessness, because the idea is to remove those pacing thoughts that are going through your mind, that are racing and saying, but what if this happens? What if that happens? It's just saying, it's being, actually, no, wait, mindfulness for me, and I've been practicing this a lot lately, is being aware of your thoughts, but not allowing them to consume you. So you become kind of the master of your thoughts and not the victim, saying, okay, that's a thought. I'm not associated to that. You give it presence and you let it leave. But that takes work, to disassociate yourself from your thoughts, because we often think we are our thoughts. So that to me is mindfulness, is having that distance.
That's really interesting. Also, the fact that you mentioned awareness and presence, because I was going to ask you, how do you define being present, or what does it mean for you to be really present here? Do you feel any difference between that and mindfulness, or is it for you the same?
Do you mean, sorry, in what sense?
Presence, like just being present, being
Oh, yeah.
here and the now. Yeah.
So this is a practice that I've incorporated into my life as just kind of like my survival technique for what I was saying earlier of PMDD, of having PMDD, is that I have to meditate a lot, just because I have to kind of regroup myself and disassociate the effects of my fluctuating hormones. So I meditate quite a lot for that reason. And the difference, it's not different for me, actually, the idea of being present and aware, or present and being mindful. Although what I try to do when I'm being present or being in the moment is being more sensual, so focusing more on my senses. So just trying to hear what's around me to distract those thoughts, or taking in a scent to kind of focus on the sense in the air. Or I don't know, I went actually ice skating this weekend, and that was super present for me, because you have like all of these kids of different ages just pacing on skates, and I had to be very focused on my surroundings so that they wouldn't just tumble into me and make me fall. So that, you know, it could be so many forces that bring us to being present, but I found it actually kind of, it was slightly meditative, the ice skating, because I was very focused. I couldn't even think about anything. And the moment my thought would go elsewhere, there would be like a kid that just brushes up against me. So I was like, okay, going back, being back to focusing, focus. So I think it could take many forms. And it could be applied everywhere in our life, being present and not worrying about yesterday or not worrying about tomorrow. And that's what I was trying to say actually earlier when I said I try to wake up in the morning and try to look out for spontaneity. It's trying to just be present instead of saying, okay, I work a 9 to 5, so that means it's going to be, I have like 10 meetings this afternoon. So-and-so is going to be there. Just saying, okay, that could happen, but let's go back to now where I can control, and we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, totally.
I went on a bit of a tangent for that one, but
No, it's so interesting. I mean, just listening to how you are present is definitely interesting and inspiring for others. So last but not least, I really love this one. How do you describe God?
yeah, that's a big one. And that can take many forms.
Yeah.
It could be traditional in the sense of, or more conservative in the sense of organized religion. But if I take a step back from what I learned with my family or religions that we've learned through just our external, I think it's a creative energy that brings us all together. And that is, it's this idea that everything that exists has, again, a reason. And, I love walking through nature just for that reason. Right? You just see the beauty and this intricacies of things and just say, wow, how is that possible? Or when we even figure out when you look into the beauties of how our bodies function, everything has its role, everything is connected. We're not even able to fully understand the power of the brain. So I think that for me is the step up, is just this awesomeness that connects us all.
Beautiful, Ayan. Thank you so much for the fast cues, and you were amazing. I'm so happy with this beautiful episode and conversation, and we're coming to almost an end here, and I've got one more
You've gone
final.
forever, Serge.
Yeah, I know, it's so much fun. We've got one more final bonus question, and
Okay.
if there's anything that I haven't asked you today, which you would like to emphasize a little bit more or share a bit more on, what would that be?
Yeah, I could talk about my product actually. I don't think I've talked about
Yeah, the product itself, absolutely.
Yeah.
Please.
So I talked about how I got here, but I haven't talked about, so when I went on that journey of figuring out how I can create my own products or allow me to connect with my own cycle to break away from the shame, I discovered kind of the beauty of naturopathy and aromatherapy. And there was a moment where I met somebody amazing who talked to me about CBD. I didn't know about CBD actually. This was about 3 years ago. And I just started kind of connecting the dots, saying, okay, well, I'll give it a try. It's known for relieving anxiety. That could be cool. And so I started playing around with my own little creations. I felt like a mad scientist, mixing things. I would test it on myself because as a designer, I think testing is so important. And I also did a research where I sent out a survey and I got, I think, over 100, maybe I think it was like 115 respondents from 11 countries. And I think it was about 80% of the respondents said that they experienced emotional or physical pain leading up to their period. So that's where I said, why not see what I can do with this? So I shared the product that I created with about 20 people, 20 menstruators. And I said, hey, give us a test, let me know. Each one was different. So I kind of did like an A/B test. And the feedback was really great. It was really reassuring, to hear this positive feedback of how this affected people's lives. So that's where I've been on this journey. I've created a menstrual massage oil that's 100% organic. That's a mixture of essential oils and CBD. That just allows, so when the cramps hit before or during your period, you can just give yourself a massage. And the poetry there is that we often feel that our bodies have disowned us in a sense, right? It becomes this enemy when we have these pains. So I want people to go back and connect with their body through the power of massage. So they just massage it on where they feel pain. And my research so far, personally and with others, has shown that it relieves the pain that can happen. So that's the product. It's called Hoyo, Hooyo. And it's an honor to my mother, who's been my hero, and also just the beauties of Mother Nature and all the transmission of knowledge that, you know, nature gives to us as kind of this great mother. So that's the product that will be launching hopefully mid to end of this spring.
Beautiful.
This is it for
Wow.
people in the
Yes. Nice. I love the design. It's so simple, yet it's so effective. I mean, the way you described it, and I'm sure it's your approach is for menstrual care and aches and pains, but I'm sure the product itself can be applicable also to other, you know, sorts of self-care and just like
Absolutely.
self-soothing. Yeah.
Yeah, I use it after I do yoga and I feel a bit
Right.
sore, kind of help with
Yeah.
that. My mother uses it for her shoulder when she feels a bit of pain.
Yes.
The idea is just saying, like, what could we do if we lived without physical pain?
Nice.
Because
Nice.
so many people normalize pain. We just say, oh, I have to go through that.
That turns into numbness, and then we get Okay,
so
thank
that's
you.
The journey I'm on. I'm not sure where it will take me, going back to your question on purpose and mission, but I'm being driven to go on this path, and we'll see where I'm taken.
Wonderful, wonderful, Ayan. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing also your product, and we're so excited to see your launching. So once again, everyone listening, everyone watching, go out and check arum.care. I will share the link also in the description. Ayan, thank you again. It was really a pleasure.
Yeah, and when we launch, I'll send your listeners a discount code that you can share if you want.
Oh, okay.
They can get their hands on some Hoyo.
Absolutely. I would love to promote that more and more. So Ayan, thank you so much. Everyone listening, everyone watching us, thank you for taking the time and still being here. Remember to subscribe, leave a comment, share, connect with me, with Ayan, and share your question, feedback, anything. You're more than welcome. And I will see you again in 2 weeks from now on a new solo episode next time. Thank you, Ayan.
Thank you, Serge, for giving me this time to share my story. I really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.